So, wow, this is not loud. I have a light inside of me. It's in my heart, it's in my mind, it's in my person. And listening to some of you guys talk today, I have a lot of fears as well. And one of my major fears is public speaking. Oh, man. And people think that's kind of weird because I talk in front of people all the time as a CrossFit coach. I talk to clients, but it's tough being up here. So I'd like to thank so much my wife for being such a supportive person to me and for believing in me. And she's really the reason I came to do this. I didn't think I could do it. I didn't know if there's anything I could talk about to the world that I was good at if I wasn't talking about CrossFit or physiotherapy. And I'd like to thank Angela, Nat, and Marcel for their support as well. It was really weird. I think the Facebook group popped up, Work of Heart, and I commented, "This is cool." Next thing I know, it was probably 5 minutes. And Nat messaged me and said, "I got to tell you something." And she called me, and I said, she said, "I'd like you to talk." And it was within 10 hours. So it was the very next morning, or evening, Angela was in the office meeting with me as well. Anyway, it was kind of nuts. And it took me a little while. I didn't say yes right away, because I had a lot of nerves. So, and one other thing about myself is that I do also suffer from ADHD. And for me, though, it comes on full force when I'm nervous. So, oh wow, like my mind is racing and it shouldn't be. I'm trying my best to be in the moment. And I always tell clients and people who want to know about ADHD, to me, or I say a normal person maybe, they would have like one big TV in front of them, and then maybe like 4 others down each side, and they can focus on that big TV because it's right in front of them. The other ones they can kind of check every now and then. That's how their attention works. Mine, I have 9 TVs. They're all equal size. They're all 42-inch, and they're all there, and all the volumes turned up. And it's really hard to focus. But it's something that I'm working with, and it's giving me some superpowers as well of creativity and that sort of thing. But so until 6 weeks ago, I never really reflected or even explored the idea of shining my light. And it's not something I thought about myself, because I was brought up to be humble, and humility is important to me. So I just never really reflected that to myself. And it was my wife, and it was Nat and Ange who said, "John, you uplift people. You should be there. You should talk to people." So I said, "Okay, I'll give it a shot. I'll give it a shot." So it does feel really amazing to be up here now, and now I'm feeling cool. I'm feeling loose. And because of this ADHD, I have my phone with me, just so I gotta check my notes. All right. So I'm hoping that today you guys will be able to take away and maybe put into effort what I like to think of is that on my daily basis, my goal really is to uplift people, is to boost people up. All right. So click, play. Let's go. Oh, there's me. I grew up in a very loving family in St. John, New Brunswick. My mom's here today, and in my home, my parents immigrated from the Philippines in 1976, and well, they came here with next to nothing really, but they had like a big dream to have a better life than back in the Philippines and to start a family. So enter my sister and I. She's very special to me. My sister and I are really like best friends, which is super cool. And we actually have never fought a day in our life, which is really weird, right? But her and I are very close. She's 3 years younger than me. And she's not here today, unfortunately. And there's my mom. She's sitting right here. You're not going to see her. You might see her later. But my mom is the sweetest woman you'll ever meet. And at the age of 67, I'm sorry to tell your age, she still works part-time as a nurse at the hospital in St. John. And someday she's hoping that her son will move home to take care of her. And we have that plan. I'm going to move to St. John eventually because, well, my father, he passed away in the summer of 2008. And he had a short battle with cancer, and it was tough for all of us. But because for me, my father was my role model. He was my idol for many reasons. One, because like I said, he was very humble. He was very kind. He was hardworking. And I think that's why I think I got that from him. I definitely can work hard too. And he was someone who was very open to people. He would like to learn about people, which is super cool. One thing he was shy about, he was super shy because he had a strong accent. When we used to go through drive-thrus, he would ask me to order, even though I was a little kid, And I never knew understood why, but now I know it's because he was kind of shy about his accent. He didn't think the person on the other side would understand what he was saying. But one thing my father was not shy about was showing love to his family and showing him that joy is the best emotion to have. So I think it was in like in 1999 thereabouts, my parents went on a long trip to the Philippines or Europe. I can't remember which trip it was. But before they left, my father, he wrote a really heartfelt letter to my sister and I. And in that letter, well, I'd be very honored to be able to read to you guys today, because you're going to see the type of man that he was and the type of teachings that he tried to give to us. So I'm going to read it to you word for word. This is an open letter to my beloved, my son and my daughter. From the very moment you came into this world, your mom and I have always tried our best to provide you with insight into the most important things in life, in order to make your lives as happy and fulfilling as possible. We tried to teach you both to be kind and generous towards people, to be honest at all times and be fair in treating men and women equally, to respect and learn from older people, that in order to know yourselves very well, that you should know your strong as well as your weak points. Your mom and I tried to teach you to accept constructive criticism, to learn from your mistakes, to have many interests to pursue, to have many goals to follow, and to work hard to reach and achieve these goals. As Christian parents, we teach you to be strong believers in God's existence and that prayers work wonders in our lives. We tried to teach you to listen to your intelligence, to laugh and enjoy life, to appreciate the beauty of nature, to express your feelings openly and honestly at all times. And we teach you to realize that love is the best emotion that anyone can have, and to value the family unit as the basis of all stability. During our absence in the next few weeks, we hope that and pray that you'll take good care of each other and be extra careful in everything that you do. When driving, always be cautious. Watch out for the reckless ones. These are the kind of people that do not care who has the right of way. Try to economize your trips. You'll be consuming less gas that way. With the heaters, most are already set. Don't set any higher than 20 degrees. Stove in the oven, never leave home without checking and ensuring all the knobs are selected off. No parties allowed. And finally, lights. Put off those not required and use as needed. Oh, shoot. So, this past Christmas, it was a complete surprise to me, and I knew this letter existed. I had never read it until this past Christmas when my sister presented it to me as a Christmas present. She had it in a nice frame, and it just totally blew me away. And it's one of my most prized possessions. I don't have a lot. And I'm just honored to be able to say the words of my father, because he was such a loving man. And to me, he was an example of someone who shines. Because initially, when I think of someone who shines, I thought, someone who's like crazy and in your face, and they just, super crazy. But the thing is, you don't have to have that type of energy. You can shine and uplift people in different ways. So in this letter, I can't help but think just how he brought us up to not be afraid to shine our light. And I have a bunch of passions, like he had said, have a lot of interests. So I have a lot of passions. And I'm very fortunate to have built businesses around them. Wow, there goes the rain. And people often ask me how I was able to do that. And I often quickly want to say that it was luck, but I don't believe that gives a lot of credit to hard work and the long hours and the planning that goes into that. And also doesn't give any credit to the love and support that I've given to me by my community and to friends and family. But there is a bit of an X factor, I believe, to success that I've had. And because the thing is, I'm not the best CrossFit coach, I'm not the best photographer, or physiotherapist. But one thing I do have, and one thing I'm good at, I think, is I'm able to uplift others. I'm able to shine my light, and I'm free to do so, and I love doing that. So for me, today too, I'd like to talk to you about shining, and how shining is being open to attract and project your love. It's about being yourself and loving yourself. It's being comfortable in your own skin. And to me, it's about being genuinely happy and allowing people to be happy in your presence. that there's safety in your presence and there's no judgment. So I hope today I can get those across to you guys. So by show of hands, how many of you guys have met someone like that, that you know for sure that this person shines? I know I have. Right. There's something, when you meet this type of person, there's something innately beautiful about them, right? You can tell that they bring out the best in other people, that they want the best for you. You find yourself in awe of their presence. You find yourself really attracted to them. And today, I think it's one thing to talk about the outer shining, but I think it's important that we explore some of the qualities. Because when I look at this room, when I walk into this room, there's people here that I put you in that category, and there's people here that have definitely built me up. And I'd like to talk about the first quality, which I believe is to be open. In order to attract more love and positive vibes, our hearts must be open. In order to learn from others and the people around us, our minds must be open. To allow more positive experiences to come into your daily life, our lives must be open. And we have to create that space within us. It doesn't just happen. When you're with somebody who's open, you can pick up on that energy. You can tell that they're listening to you. You can tell that there's no judgment and it's safe to be yourself. And it feels really good. And what that does is it spirals into many beautiful interactions on a daily basis, and it also turns into beautiful relationships. And then sometimes I know it's tough with all the things that are going on in our world and going on in our lives, we let anything else in. But with the goal of uplifting others and being open, we have to allow ourselves that time. We have to be open to connect with others and to be present. To free up my mind, there's something that I do, and I learned it from a podcast that I love to listen to. And I don't do it all the time. It's just when I know that I'm in that funk or something. And I just did today, not that I was in a funk when I walked in here, but I did today because I said, I got to practice what I preach. So the trigger is when I walk through a door frame and I'm about to go to a new event or go to a situation where I'm going to be around people. When I walk through the door frame, I trigger my mind to say, what's this going to be like? But I say it with enthusiasm. What's this going to be like? And what I think that does is it sets the stage on enthusiasm, and it breeds an openness that good things are going to happen. For many of us, we have to free up a bit or maybe a lot of the structure that we build into our lives. A lot of us we built this structure, we've created it to have things run more smoothly, to discipline things, to perfect things. But sometimes all that structure that we build up, it blinds us and prevents us from being in the moment. It's hard. I know I was like that. Sometimes I had so much on the go that I didn't have 2 minutes to sit and talk with somebody. The second element is joy. People who are shining light in the life of others, they have joy in their hearts. They're happy people. When I think of someone who is shining their light, they have a zest for life. They're in their full element. They are open. And they have a sense about them that says, I'm very happy with my life. Man.
Go, Dad.
Yeah, sorry, man.
You're doing great, babe.
I didn't expect that. What's that? What did someone say?
I said, can we all run up and kiss you?
That's all right, that's all right. And what does this remind you of? It reminds me of what it's like to be a child. With a child that has amazement for the world. That helped, babe. They have curiosity, that they're just free. Oh, man. Because what I remember when I was a kid was that the summers were really, really long. You know, June to September took a long time. And now, for some reason, well, it's almost April. And I feel like if you're anything like me, I just blinked. I don't know where February and March went, right? And And that's because we have our structure and we have our responsibilities and we have things that are going in our lives. And I'm not telling people to drop the responsibilities. I think it's important that every day, even for a couple minutes, a couple moments, I personally do it maybe every hour on the hour. I try to trigger my mind to do it, is that I just stop and I said, I'm going to let joy dictate what I'm doing now. And I know my coworkers, hopefully you can attest to that, because that's when I'm laughing the most in the clinic. That's when I'm having the best time. That's when, and that's the reason why I feel that people can really relate and people feel comfortable in my presence. There's also a couple things that I do, and here's one thing that I do. I learned it when I was younger. It was a way to help myself be a more happy and joyous person. And I read it in a book. I'm not sure what the book was, but the author told a story of a guy who gets cut off on the way to work. And when they're driving to work, you know, that sucks, getting cut off. But the thing is that they get to work and they tell their coworkers and they tell their boss and they tell their people they're having lunch with, and maybe at nighttime they tell their family. But all this truly insignificant event, it spiraled into a lot of negative energy being put out there. And the person in that moment, they could have really said, well, this is counterproductive to how I want to be today, and I want to be awesome today. And you can stop that thing, right? So joyous people, it's an active process. They have a game plan to be able to shine their light and keep the light flowing. So self-talk is important here. The third element is to be you. Kira touched upon this and talked about this earlier. And the thing about being you, because we're all so different on many levels, personalities, experiences, and our stories, and it's something to be celebrated. I remember at Master Mindset, there's a talk that was, an event that was held in November. My friend Natalie talked about when you're in misery, it's typically because you're not living in alignment with your values. Amen, brother. Amen. And yeah, that's right. And when you think of someone who shines their light, right? These people are they're very true to themselves. They're projecting to you their authentic self. They have an appreciation for their weaknesses and their faults, kind of like I'm doing right now. And thank you guys for helping me with that. There was a time 10 years ago when I was definitely not living in alignment with my values. 10 years ago, I was just new into the physiotherapy world, and I was working 8 to 4 at the hospital, and at nights I would work at a clinic. And the weekends I was taking courses, and if I wasn't taking courses, I was definitely on the football field or basketball court with my sports teams. I was busting my tail because to me the motivation and my drive at that time was money and being the best therapist in the city, which is not bad goals, the therapist one, but the thing is, I took it to the extreme. And what that did is it robbed me of a lot of special times with family in St. John, because they live far away. So the idea of having to drive 2 hours, that was just like, sorry, Mom, I can't make it home for this birthday party. And I'm not going to be able to make it home for Christmas. So that's an exaggeration, but it was kind of like how it was. And it was even to the point that my father, who I mentioned as my role model, the day that he had died, the day that he passed away in the morning at 6 a.m., it was 8 hours later, and I was back to work. I was on the football field with a team that I was responsible for, and I was taping ankles. And then I remember just thinking, man, what are you doing here? I remember being upset with myself, but it was the only thing I knew. So I worked, and I kept my head down, and I just did my thing. But now reflecting back, or months later, I had a lot of regret about how I was living my life, because I robbed myself of special times with someone who's not with me anymore, and I wasn't living in alignment with myself. And I talked to you about this person who was so important to me, who gave me so much love, and I decided that I would not be with the family who everyone was grieving, and I decided that I was going to go to work. It wasn't a really great scenario. But since then, I'm back at it again. I opened up another business. And I knew what was going to happen when I did this. And I told my wife, I said, get ready. I know this is what happens. This is my fourth. There's going to be some long hours. It's going to be a lot of work. And I may not be as present as I want to be. But the thing is now, I am in alignment with my values. And the reason why I did that is because things shifted. I reflected. And here's something that I'd like you guys to try with me, please. I'd like you guys also, again, to close your eyes for a moment, please. And I'd like you to take a moment to decide what 30 seconds of your life would you want to relive if you only had 30 seconds left. It can be a straight 30 seconds of an event that you had, a vacation you had, or maybe the day you were married. If you're anything like me, I had to break it up. I had to do 10 seconds here, 10 seconds here, 10 seconds somewhere else. Okay. So when I did this exercise, this is what came up for me. I would want to spend 10 seconds on the altar again with my wife. Not so much, it was really special watching her walk down the aisle, but when we were standing there together, just her and I looking at the priest, that was 10 seconds I would like to relive. I'd also like to relive any particular family gathering or dinner that I had sitting at the table back when my father was alive. And then just even a quick moment of what it felt like when I used to come home and my mom and dad were sitting at the table, and I'd be able to give them each a kiss and a hug. And so when I did this exercise, it was pretty glaringly obvious that the thing that was most important to me, the thing that I valued the most, was family. So I can tell you that in the past 3 or 4 years, where I finally have shifted my mind and shifted the way I do things, that strange things. I was going to say strange things happen, but not really. More positivity has come into my life. The great things have happened to me, and great relationships have fostered. And it feels really good. Any accomplishments that I've had, I can actually enjoy them. And to say that the most valuable gift you can give someone is to be your authentic self, I now believe that. The final one is to be willing to try. I believe in intention and effort. I'm sure some of you have heard that before. I've talked to my staff and my teammates about we can have the intention to be good people, to be caring, to want to do good for people, but it's all for nothing without the effort. You can have a clear mind, you can be open to awesome experiences, you can have joy in your heart, and you can be being you. But if you're not projecting that positivity on other people, well, you're robbing them of your light. In our daily lives, there's a lot of distractions, again. And sometimes it's really easy, if you've heard it before, to go onto autopilot. And when we're in autopilot, there's no real way that we can experience those moments with people, that connection. I'm sorry, guys. I know. There needs to be action to set this all into beautiful motion. When you endeavor to get to know somebody and actually turn that autopilot off, when you try to be there and listen to them and learn from them, again, those interactions and those relationships, that allows you to shine your light. Feel that. Your friends and your family will feel that. So I'm going to tell you a little story of an example of when I was able to, my wife and I were willing to try. It was in November of 2014. My wife and I were at the mall. It was just before Christmas-ish, so it was busy. We were running around in and out of stores and just doing our thing, trying to get out of there in record time. And it was exhausting. But I think I remember, we sat down on the bench. And we just looked at each other and we were really happy and we said, you know what, let's go meet some random person. Let's see if we can ask this question that my wife and I like to ask people. Because at the time we were still engaged. And what we always used to ask people who had been married for 20, 30, or 40 years, we used to ask them, what's your secret? So we were on a mission to find someone that would give us some advice. And we saw a man sitting on a bench And if anyone had stopped to take a look and talk to this man, they would see this man. They would say, wow, this is not him. But he was, the reason I chose the picture is because the guy was wearing this cool little golf hat. And he had corduroy pants on, and he was just really proper with his shirt, and he was cute. And we sat there and we talked to him, we introduced ourselves, and he came to find out that he was 97 years old. He had been married for 50 plus years. Him and his wife still lived at People's Park Tower. And he was just waiting for his pants to be hemmed at Stitch It. So we talked a little bit longer, and then my wife finally asked the question, what's your secret, or could you offer us any advice? And what he said to us will be with us forever. And what he said was, I don't want to say it wrong, hundreds of small things done lovingly and errors excused. I had never heard that before. Hundreds of small things done lovingly and errors excused. And what he meant by that is that, he went on to elaborate, is that it's not all the big things that you do for your significant other, like buying them a car or just buying them all the stuff. It's all the small things you do on a daily basis that amount to a loving life. That if you, by chance, get into an argument, you're mad at the person because they did something wrong, that maybe you can just put some weight on all those things that they do, because we're going to make mistakes as humans. We're going to make mistakes in marriage. And I thought that was great. And I love this interaction for one reason, two reasons. First reason is because, well, it's an example of us stopping in the moment and saying, okay, we're going to change up this routine here, and we're going to go meet somebody. And we were present with him. And we received the most amazing advice that I can remember in a little while. But also because I think it's gotten me out of a few fights since. So I hope you guys, if you think about the art of shining as like a martial art, I am in no way that great. Not today, I'm trying my best, but I may be a brown belt or a yellow belt. And someday, I hope to be a black belt in that martial art or that art of shining. We're always trying to get better, and we can always get better, and I intend to. So just quickly again, the 4 characteristics are to be open, to have your heart open to learning new things from other people, maybe free up some of that rigidity that we have in our lives that keep us from connecting with others. Oh man, I can't remember my own line. To have joy in our hearts. Because when you're with someone that has joy in their heart, it just feels good to be in their presence. And you can take a little bit, and then you can give a little bit. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful thing. And to be yourself. Because again, there's no better gift you can offer someone than offering your authentic self. And finally, it's to be willing to try. And this is my example of trying to help people and talk to people. Thank you, guys. Man. Thanks.
Thank you, Johnny.